to talk about it at a...
Well, I'm just trying to see how much, trying to calculate how much we're actually writing off.
We're not going to write off any more from this point forward. We'll be able to, based on the way I'll be glad to explain it at the next admin meeting, our plans on terms of redeveloping this piece of property.
Right. Okay.
We do have an appraisal.
Yeah, we do have an appraisal, and we've even got an option.
It's 1.227.
Is that what it was? Okay, I doubled that. Okay, 1.2.
1.22, and that's counting, knowing that there's a special assessment on there?
No. No.
Okay.
The
So
appraisal does not take into account any debt on property when they're appraising the property.
okay. So there's the issue that I have right there.
Mm-hmm.
If you have $1.2 million worth of property, and even after we pay off the $1 million, we still have $2 million worth of special assessments on there, we're still $800,000 short for selling that property.
No.
No. Okay. Okay. So if it's $1.2 million is what it's worth, how do we get somebody to assume $2 million worth of debt?
Like I said, I'd be glad to explain this when we bring the proposal to the admin committee, where we can show you the numbers and show you the proposal.
But they're going to vote on it tonight.
They're going to vote on the ability for us to acquire the property. We're not eliminating any special assessments going forward.
I'm just trying to figure out how you're going to market $1.2 million worth of property that has $2 million worth of debt on it already.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what I'm trying to figure out. What's the plan going forward?
The point of going forward is that when we sell the property, we will collect the $1.2 million rather than some developer.
Right. But when that developer...
Because we're going to be paying the debt anyway.
Yeah.
So the fact of the matter is, what you're really asking is, do we want to own the property and sell it and collect $1.2 million, or do we just want someone else to own the property and sell it and make $1.2 million? And in fact, either way, we're still going to have the ability to collect those.
I understand the positive aspects
Mm-hmm.
of getting into the private developers' hands so they can build, so they can pay the property taxes and thereabouts. What I don't understand is you have a piece of property that is appraised at $1.2 million that has $2 million worth of debt on it. How do you get somebody to pay $1.2 million and assume $2 million of debt so that they're paying $3.2 million in order to get this piece of property that's only $1.2 million?
We're... What's that?
Mayor.
Okay.
Right?
No, we talked about this probably 6 weeks ago in executive session.
Right.
I'm sorry, don't start discussing what we discussed in executive session.
I'm trying to...
Well, we can have a discussion about what's going on here. You don't have to identify it as executive session, but we can have any discussion we need to have in order to...
I would be more than happy to have this discussion in terms of a proposal for how we propose to move forward with this. And if council agrees, then we'll move forward with it. And if council doesn't agree, then we will still own the piece of property.
Right.
And then it doesn't put us in a worse position to own this piece of property than to have it sitting where it's at right now. The only way it's going to get developed is if we control it and we have the ability to do whatever it is we need to do to get this thing, and whatever makes financial sense to move this project forward. And if that means we have to offer incentives or we have to do whatever we need to do to protect the city's interest and to make the city whole, then that we'll have that opportunity. But if we don't own the property, we'll have no opportunity to do that.
I understand that perfectly. If we don't do something as a city, it will probably sit there for 20 years until
And we would have.
and
paid
we
all
would
the
never, and we will have paid all the debt. It will still have a $3 million special assessment associated with it,
debt. Mhm.
all right, because we don't own it and we're not paying that,
And no one will buy it.
and we're not taking credit for that. So sometime in the next 20 years, it would have to appreciate in value, so the 25 acres is now worth $3 million, right? And they're about sometime if it happens that somebody wants it. for
Or
that.
if somebody wants to put up
So I
$50
understand
investment
perfectly.
in it, we
I-
would give it to them.
I understand
There's lots of
perfectly
what-ifs.
that it's better for us to make a decision to put money into it and make it affordable for some other company or some other development to happen. What I'm trying to figure out is how much money that's going to be. And right now, we know we're going to pay $1 million of that $3 million. Basically, we're going to wash it away. But there's still $2 million worth of debt in special assessments on that property, and we say that it appraises for $1.2 million.
Mhm.
So to wash free, somehow we'd have to either talk somebody into paying $2 million for $1.2 million worth of stuff, or throw in another $800,000.
Well, here's the issue is we have to make the debt payments whether or not we collect assessments or not. So the city's making those debt payments no matter what. The issue is not that there's a $2 million debt on it. The issue is the annual payment on that debt to the investors. That's the issue that most of them, I mean, if it was $2 million and it stretched over 50 years, it's not such a big deal. If it's $2 million and you got to pay it back tomorrow, it's a big deal. So there's lots of things we can do as a city that other folks can't do because we control the assessments.
And I think that it's just good to know what those options are and how much it's going to cost the
Several
city
options. Council
before.
hasn't made a decision on what those options will be. But there are no options unless we own it.
I'm still of the opinion that it's better for us to know what those options are and how much it's going to cost us as we go forward before. Like that. But okay, all right, thank you. Mr. Campbell.
Rob or Don, could you tell us again what the cost of this will be to the city if we move forward with this legislation?
About $15,000 in fees and so forth, plus whatever the existing current taxes are on it, with which we will receive a portion of those back, and the schools will receive the majority of the rest. So the biggest portion of this is going to be received back into the community anyway, either through the schools or through back to us as property taxes.
So it's about $15,000 plus some property taxes that the schools are going to receive and the city will receive.
Yes, the majority of those.
And you have an appraisal on this property?
I think it's $1.2 million.
Yes, we just received that today.
So we're going to purchase land for about $15,000, and that land that we're going to purchase for $15,000 has an appraisal that we have received, appraising it at $1.2 million.
1.277600.
And how much are the assessments that's currently owed on the property?
On an annual basis, I believe
Total that's owed right now today, about currently $1 million.
Oh, you mean on the current amount? Yeah.
So we owe $1 million. Someone owes us $1 million on the assessment.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to buy the land for We're going to buy the land for $15,000, and it's appraised at $1.2 million.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a plan moving
Correct.
forward with the property.
Correct.
And is any of this land necessary for that plan?
Yes. A significant portion of it. Well, not a significant portion, but yes.